Today we are looking at singing sensation strongman from Australia, Eddie Williams. Eddie Williams, Auntie Liz, a real fan favourite. He's been over to the UK a few times from the Giants Live. The crowd love him. Such a lovely guy. What have we got about Eddie regarding his strongman?
So Eddie has competed at the World's Strongest Man just once before, back in 2019. And while he didn't make it out of the group stages, he did have a fantastic start to his World's Strongest Man career when he won his first event, which was the truck pull.
Eddie is a two-time winner of Australia's Strongest Man, having won the title in 2017 and 2018.
And so far in his career, Eddie has competed in a total of 8 international competitions.
Now, I loved seeing Eddie come over to the Royal Albert Hall last year, and he actually ended up beating Mark Felix on the Hercules hold. He's got a phenomenal grip. We know he's good at truck pulling. Yeah. He's one of those athletes that's got events he's very good at. Unfortunately, Eddie has events he's not so good at as well.
And also, unfortunately for Eddie, his key strengths being grip and truck pull, they're not in the heats.
No. So let's take a look at the events of the heats and see how we think Eddie can do. So starting off with the loading event, how do you think Eddie can do on this one?
It's not something we have a lot of data on for Eddie, to be honest. I mean, we've seen him do it at the Arnold USA back in early 2020. It didn't go amazingly for him, but it was a very heavy loading race. But Eddie's a big guy. I don't know. I honestly don't know how he might do. It depends who you're up against a lot of the time, doesn't it?
It does. I think he's got that ability to he's got that natural strength. So he's got the ability to kind of handle these awkward weights. It just depends how quick it is sometimes. And we don't know the actual implements yet, do we?
No, we don't. And also, you know, the weights at Worlds for loading, they can vary massively. Like we've seen lighter loading races. We've seen some ridiculously heavy loading races.
I've done some events at Worlds where like one year you're doing it and it's 120 kilo sandbags. The next year you've got 160 kilos, and it kind of it goes back and forth, and the objects change. So it's having that ability at Worlds to be able to adapt and expect anything. That's going to be important for Eddie. But I do think with his grip strength, his size, it's just a massive, massive man. Yeah. That is an advantage on some of those type of events. So looking at his performances over the last few years, the static strength seems to be something that he's not excelling at. He's got that natural ability, like we said, on truck pulls and grip. But when it comes to the log lift and the deadlift, he hasn't done so well on these events.
No, deadlift, he managed 4 reps on the axle deadlift that they use at Giants Live. Now, I think the deadlift setup with the machine is better for guys like Eddie who aren't the absolute top deadlifters, because there's a set amount of reps that they'll have to do. The first couple they should be very good for as well. So it's about banging those out quickly.
It's going to need to be super fast. Yeah. And I just feel there's too many good deadlifters.
This is the problem.
That's one of the issues. You know, if you're going to be fast, you still need to be able to put up a decent amount of reps.
Of course.
And I think Eddie may just drop points. When you think of how many great deadlifters we have that are going to be competing at Worlds this year,
they'll be unavoidable in the groups. There's no way you're going to get a whole group where no one's a great deadlifter.
So he's going to have to be super fast, and I still think kind of 2 or 3 points would be very good for Eddie on this one. And same story on the log. When we look at his PB log, I think it's 160 kilos.
In competition, yeah.
It's going to need to be more than that. You know, really, if you think of the log medley, that's probably going to be the 3rd log. He's going to have to be able to hit that. Can you hit that after doing the reps before as well? It's possible, but again, I think he's going to drop points on this one. Now, the Conans is an interesting one. Eddie's a huge, big man, and normally that doesn't kind of go well on Conan's wheel type events, but he's pretty fit for a big guy as well. So
he is fit, and also it's something we've got no data of him ever done in competition. So we're going in completely blind. I don't know if he is. I'm sure he's trained.
I'm sure he's training.
Yeah, but it's a bit of an unknown, and I always bring it back to people like Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall did very well on Conan's, actually, and he was over time very large.
You know, Eddie was large, but he didn't start off being great at those events.
No, he didn't.
Eddie was one of the most determined guys and ended up being one of the strongest guys on the planet. I don't see Eddie Williams having anywhere close to Eddie Hall type strength where you can end up just manhandling these type of events.
It's true, but I also don't think that size is always a barrier, because we have seen surprise performances before, and with Eddie Williams we simply don't don't know.
Exactly. It's going to be one of those we've got to sit back and wait and see. So again, another event that we really don't have too much data on is the kettlebell throw, or any throw actually for Eddie. But when you look at the height of him and the size, I think it should be a good one.
You would expect it to be a good one. Yeah, you know. Who knows? We know he's got that driving power that he uses.
It's amazing
in
to think
trackball
we've got this guy that has done a few Giants Lives now. He's done a few Arnold qualifying type competitions. He's even been to World's Strongest Man. But when you look at the amount of international shows he's done, it's not that many.
And there's not been that much variety in the events, in the competitions that he has done. So we've got plenty of data for the staple events, you know, deadlift and log, but not much for other events like this. So.
Yeah, I think Eddie would be like, if there was a truck pull and a farmer's walk or something like that, he'd be kind of, you know, really excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of new events. I'm sure, like you say, he's been trying them, but I think it's going to be a struggle for Eddie this year.
The problem for someone like Eddie, he's going to have 2 or 3 really good guys in his group that are going to be hard to beat. So just getting to the stone off is going to be a massive achievement for most. But
do you think Eddie can get to the stone off? And if he's in the stone off, has he got a chance?
On paper, I would say no, he doesn't get to the stone off. In reality, though, we have seen groups where you think, oh my goodness, but then they absolutely fall apart.
Well, last year was a great example of that. Was it Group 5?
Yes, with Evan. You would never say Evan wouldn't have made it through that group, but he didn't. Literally anything can happen. Everyone has the chance to qualify.
I've seen it so many times at Worlds where on paper things can look just ridiculous and then it falls apart. An athlete gets injured, an athlete underperforms, makes a mistake, someone overperforms. And also when it's in those group stages, it's hard to sort of stretch away from anyone.
Yeah, because there's
only so few athletes.
Yeah.
And with one athlete being guaranteed to go through, and then you've got like the rest all battling for those stone off positions, it is, anything can happen. It adds that extra pressure. And I think Eddie, having now been at World's Strongest Man one time, there's a little bit more experience there. I'm sure he's training very hard and looking forward to the opportunity. My gut feeling, I don't think we're going to see Eddie Williams in the final. Stones in general haven't been the best event for him when you kind of look at those performances. And I'm talking about against the best guys in the world. Let's always remember that. You know, he's lifted heavy stones, you know, we all have. But when you are all competing against the very best, you need to be absolutely on it. And there's a lot of good stone lifters out there. So he'd need a lot of luck in terms of group positioning and then being able to get there in itself. But as always, we wish Eddie the best of luck. Unbelievably friendly guy, such a positive guy to be around. Let's remember, he took that Giants Live, the Giants Live
Royal Albert Hall,
last minute. Flew
for 2 days or whatever.
2 days and then competed and held his own there.
So he put on a great show, but he had a couple of really great events in the Hercules Hold and the Farmers, and I'm sure he would have loved to see stuff like that in the group stages this year.
Put those two in plus a truck pull.
It's a totally different story. We'd be saying something totally different.
Absolutely. But as always is important with Strongman, it comes down to events. Do you guys agree? What do you think of Australia's Eddie Williams' chances at this year's World's Strongest Man? Comment below. As always, like, share, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. Stay strong.